Welcome to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Wes the Economist and Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist.
All right, guys, welcome back into Season 3, Episode 4 of the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Wes the Economist. I am Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist, and today I'm going to hold true to my name because Wes has got a few questions because he doesn't believe my aliens are among us, and we're going to try to convince him otherwise, although I don't have solid proof. I have enough hearsay and some proof from some people that they might actually be out there, including some presidents. So anyway, I know you said you had some questions, so hopefully I'll have the answers to these, or I'll have to rattle off something.
I mean, my questions are just general ones, same ones everybody's asking. First off, let's see if we can get this shown here right quick, and let's
Okay.
make this happen.
I love it.
This is not even the right one though, is it? This seems kind of weird. There it goes. There's the whistling.
Yeah, such a creepy intro.
Looks like somebody redid it on that one though. It doesn't seem quite right,
Sorry,
but
they probably remastered it or something
probably
because
so.
it's so old.
Actually, my son, just out of the blue, I didn't realize my son even remember me watching X Files when he was a kid. I mean, I watched all the X Files. I had all was it 13
It was a
seasons on
lot.
episodes. I had on DVD at one point. Of course,
Yeah,
they came from Korea somewhere, so they were kind of wild how they played sometimes. But but
yeah,
actually, I wonder if I still have those. Won't they be classics now? But
probably.
he sent me this video of some guy who spent 6.5 hours breaking down the the mythology in X Files.
Yeah,
So
that's
I hadn't watched it all yet, but I look at those and everybody was just back then obviously conspiracy theorists, but this stuff keeps coming out now that something's going on. And just the question is, what is it? So let's start off with obviously the one that got all this sparked off. Obama on podcast says something about alien life. What did he? I don't even know what he said, but that kind of started this all over again.
Yeah, they basically just asked him, "Are aliens real?" And he said, pretty matter of fact, he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, they're real." He said, "But they're not kept at Area 51 where everybody thinks." And he didn't really
Roswell,
elaborate on anything.
Roswell.
Yeah, yeah. He just basically said, "Yep, it's real. They're not where you think they are," and just kind of kept on going into the podcast. So he kept it very brief. And then obviously Trump came out and said he shouldn't have said that, and he gave away classified information. But Trump also said the aliens aren't real. So how do you give away classified information of something that's not real? So it, you know,
Well, okay, let's go back to definition of alien. It just means something unknown. So I guess it
correct.
could have been some type of people that were just mal deformed or something. I don't know.
It's hard to say. It's hard to
It's
say
hard
what
to
he was
say.
referring to, but there's been whistleblowers like because they have David Grush, he was a U.S. Air Force intelligence officer. He was part of the hearings back in September they were doing where they're calling them UAPs now, not UFOs.
Yeah, why is that?
Um,
Sidetrack. Why is that?
I knew you were going to ask that. It's hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Now it's going to bother me.
Well,
UAP.
well, you can find out what it stands for. Why did they change the name? Just
I don't
because
know.
UFO?
I guess the stigma around UFO just made it you think of aliens. So it's unidentified anomalous phenomena. So things that happen that can't be
Anomalous.
explained. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
that's more. So that's more than just crafts. That could be
it,
anything.
yeah, anything that they see that's of unknown origin that they can't come up with a reason for it,
So,
basically.
so this guy you were talking about is on the podcast, or was he?
He's been on podcasts, but he was actually at some of the Senate hearings. He's a retired Air Force because he saw some stuff while he was in the Air Force flying. So he basically testified before Congress that U.S. government operates secret programs to recover and reverse engineer non-human spacecraft. He alleged that these programs conducted with private aerospace companies conceal evidence of non-human beings and that individuals have been threatened to maintain secrecy. And this was an actual Senate or Congress hearing, and he was there, and he was really an Air Force pilot, David Grush. He's the most solid witness that we actually have who doesn't seem to have a reason to make it up.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, 10 years ago, I would have told you I have no proof for no, other than some grainy videos throughout history of people showing you a UFO on the screen. But other than
Right.
that, now you've got more people saying they're real. But I don't know, the way Trump was kind of joking about it, if they were real, and he knew all this crazy stuff, I just can't feel like he would think it's kind of funny.
Kind of funny. Yeah.
So he kind of like almost ruins it for me because I'm like,
He's like, he's like, for y'all people who still believe this, we'll play along with you. That's where it came across to me as.
yeah, yeah, and but if it's none of it's real, why is it all the information that he just said? He said we'll release it all. That's fine. Um, but why would it even be classified if none of it's real either? Though it's like, what? Why would you classify something that's fake? Like that doesn't make sense either.
Well, again, going back to my X-File days, there's several episodes on crafts, and one of them was on a Air Force base, and it wasn't sighting them. They were actually trying to fly these alien stuff, and it was driving pilots crazy because the G forces and the motion of the crafts were just humans couldn't survive it. So
Yeah.
it makes me wonder if Chris Carter had some kind of inside take even back 40 years ago, 30 years ago, to what this stuff was going on, and all this stuff that's been out in those files. It, it's just kind of eerie.
It is eerie, yeah. And even the Bob Lazar, who's maintained his story for years, he said that he worked at Area 51, where at the time where they kept spacecraft that they had recovered of non-human origin, and he said he was hired as an engineer at a base on off of Area 51 that's actually built into a mountain, the side of a mountain that most people don't even know about. It's called Site 3 or S3, and he said that he was reverse engineering spacecraft to try to get them to work for us. And after he whistle blew on it, he got threatened by the government, and then they actually deleted all his records and said he never worked for him and that he was lying. Well, they finally admitted not too long ago that he did. I think they finally admitted that he actually did work, at Area 51 as a contractor, but they still deny all of his claims that, he saw human because he said he saw aliens that were dead that they had kept and that
Hmm.
he was working on because he was an engineer and they said that's what he was doing. But he's been on podcasts.
Are you looking to buy a home in North or South Carolina? You need to reach out to Wave Beach Realty today. We are a family owned company with over 10 years of experience in North and South Carolina and operate along the Grand Strand. Give us a call today at 843 957 3872. That's 843 957 3872.
Mortgage payment, insurance payments, credit card payments, they can be very overwhelming. Are you ready to take the time to get things under control? Then reach out to me at Clark Financial Coaching to see if we can get you started with a budget and then a vision for the future. Write me at coachwestc@gmail.com. That's coachwestc@gmail.com.
Talking about it, but his story, and this was like 30 years ago, and his story's never changed. He's still alive. And recently, the government actually raided a lab that he had wherever he lives because he's a scientist by trade, so he's always doing like weird science stuff. And he got raided while he was in the middle of doing like a documentary, and that's actually on camera. But I was watching a documentary when that happened that he did a few years ago. But so the government's always messing with him, but it's because he says all this crazy stuff that he claims is true, and he's never changed his story. But the government swears that they don't know who he is and he made all of this up. So. It's hard to
Misinformation.
beat them. It's hard to beat the government if they don't want you to be truthful. If they don't want something to be the truth, they're pretty good at hiding it.
Yeah, that's true, unfortunately. The so back last year we kept hearing about this ship, this asteroid, this phenomena heading towards the Earth. And they thought it was an asteroid or a comet. But then all of a sudden it changed trajectories and it was slowing and it was making movements that were not consistent with a comet or asteroid. Do you remember any of that talk? Did you follow any of
Yeah,
that?
but there hasn't been much talked about that. Like I remember that because they were saying, "Hey, we got to watch this thing. It's coming straight towards us," and then all of a sudden it moved a few times, and they're like, "This doesn't seem like the movement of an asteroid." And then it's like they just kind of. I know the Hubble telescope's been watching it, but I haven't. They haven't really been giving us any more updates, which leads me to believe they found something they didn't want us to. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this is a little more
all of
interesting
a
than we
sudden
want to."
there's a whole media blackout on it.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird when stuff like that happens because it's like, okay, well, you're saying, you're laughing at us saying aliens aren't real. You guys are a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists, which we're about 30 and 0 right now. We're about three away from being perfect. But everything else is coming true. We were crazy about Epstein files. We were crazy about some of the 9/11 stuff that's come out after the fact. We were crazy about, the reason they went in there. The last war we were in with under Bush, with they said there were weapons of mass destruction. Those conspiracy theorists swore that they weren't, and they did it for, to line Dick Cheney's pockets, and that's pretty much what it looks like now. And all these different
See,
things
that's
that.
that one about the weapons of mass destruction still confuses me.
When life gets unpredictable, turn to a partner you can trust. At Bobby Clary State Farm, we've got you covered. Whether it's home, auto, or life insurance, we're dedicated to providing personalized coverage that fits your needs. With our friendly and knowledgeable team, navigating your insurance options have never been easier. Visit bobbyclary.com or call 843-438-6000. Bobby Clary State Farm, here to help life go right.
Eisenhower Dental, located at 107 Waccamaw Medical Park Drive in Conway, a place where you can find all your dental services, including general dentistry, cosmetic, restorative, and pediatric dentistry. Reach out to them today at their website, eisenhowerdental.com, or call them at 843-234-3110, 843-234-3110, and tell them Wes the Economist sent you. Because they found weapons. No, I had somebody in my class who was on the team that removed them from
Yeah, I know they found some
Iraq.
things, but they stay. Yeah, but they
It
they found
wasn't
ones
nuclear.
early on where
It
we could
was.
have been in and out. Though they stayed there a
Oh
lot
yeah,
longer,
yeah,
a lot more.
I'm not
Yeah,
arguing with that. I'm not arguing with it. They didn't get their pockets lined, but when it came up in my class, this was 2014 or 15, and I actually had somebody who was in the army that had gotten out. It was a girl, a lady, and then everybody started talking about, yeah, we went in for no reason, blah 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 blah, and she kind of just, oh guys, whole, and I looked at her and she's like, I was on the team. We actually did remove that from Iraq. We actually moved that stuff out. Now it was inert. It wasn't active, but it was materials for, I think, I can't remember if it was a bio or chemical weapon. It was
yeah,
not nuclear, but it
right,
was biochemical weapons, which we knew were there because he'd already used them on the Kurds.
right.
Um, so, but yeah, and then I went and looked for it, and I found some reports on it, and now that's just gone too.
Yeah.
So it's like both sides, for their narrative, they're gonna scrub everything, so we can't see it. So how do you believe what's true?
I mean,
That,
they say eventually everything comes to light. I mean, look, the Epstein stuff, well, I would have never thought we'd even made it this far with it where anybody would be getting in trouble because you got some CEOs losing their jobs. Bill Gates is over here and admitting he slept with Russian prostitutes and had to take STD pills and lace them in his wife's drink so she wouldn't know she had an
oh my
STD. And
gracious.
so I mean, who would have known, thought we would even find that out? But I think we're getting so desensitized to all the crazy stuff that we hear that and we're like, all right, what else? What else you guys got? So
So
we're at a
here's
weird
the
place.
Comet 3I Atlas C 2025 N1 is a real interstellar object discovered in July 2025 that's drawn attention due to its unusual high speed and non-circular trajectory through the solar system. Some have suggested it could be an alien spacecraft. Evidence points to being a natural comet, I bet one with an unusual, very high carbon dioxide to water ratio. It is not on a collision course with Earth.
What if it's literally just Jesus on his way here to come end everything, and he's like actually on a craft. He's like, I'm just going to really scare them. I'm going to really come back. They want to believe this alien mess so bad. I'm going to show them what an alien looks
Yeah,
like because it's foreign to them.
Bible's very clear how he's coming back, and I don't think it's
Yeah,
gonna be on an
I know,
asteroid.
but it would be wild.
It's not gonna
I
be.
know.
It's not gonna be on a comet. No,
It
a
would be
white
wild though.
horse on a white horse on a comet. You know, you never know what
What if when it gets closer, they're like, why is this comet in the shape of a
a
horse?
horse.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Then everybody be out in the streets repenting then.
Oh yeah. Yep, that's true.
But yeah,
Well,
so
what is
I
there
will not
any?
start that as a conspiracy theory.
Okay, don't do that.
Yeah.
Is there any in your mind? Is there enough evidence to say for sure that there's life from another planet here?
There's enough evidence to suggest that there's something out there that the government's not telling us that they've been tracking and monitoring. Um, Whether it's life on another planet, it might not be aliens what we think of when we see it in the movies, like a little headed creature. It might
Right.
be, and some of this stuff could be other countries that have some technology that we don't know about that they've tested and that we're trying to get our hands on and wrap our hands around. And they might just be throwing out the alien conspiracies things and saying, "Oh, we found these things and we think it's of a non-human origin," just to maybe trick the countries that have this into thinking we don't know that it's them that has it while we're studying. I mean, you could go a million different ways with this, but there's more evidence now than there's ever been. Because before it was just like everybody was a quack that talked about conspiracies and aliens, and now when you got people in front of Congress who are in the Air Force who have merit and have seen things while flying aircrafts and are now in charge of looking into these UAPs. It makes you think like, okay, well, you guys got a whole program to monitor this now. So apparently you've seen, you wouldn't waste billions of dollars on it just to keep a conspiracy theory going. So you guys are actually monitoring something,
Yeah.
whether you're telling us the truth about what you're seeing or not. But I can't say for certain that there are until they release more evidence, which they say they're going to do now. But they're at least investigating something that they don't understand, and that's enough
Uh,
evidence for me to think. I mean, that's something of alien origin because it just is something we don't know or understand, or a different being or different material that we don't have.
but we keep releasing all this paperwork and we end up not knowing anything more than we did before.
Well, because they redact 90%, all the good stuff. They're like, hey, we're being transparent. Here's the JFK files. It's like, well, you still redacted all this, which with the JFK stuff, they released enough of it for me to know that the CIA was at least not it's solely responsible, but knew JFK was there was plots on his life and let it happen because he knew that he wanted to disband the
I
CIA.
would go even further and say there was people in the CIA not acting in an official capacity that were part of it.
I would agree. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, they redact names and certain things like that, but most of these people are dead. You couldn't hold them
Yeah.
accountable anyway. But the CIA as an entity would look bad if they released everything that shows that they were culpable or completely
Yeah.
responsible. So that's not going to happen.
No.
But so again, will we ever know any of this? I don't know. They say that, then, but with the Epstein stuff, we've got more than I thought we would. But I still don't think anybody's going to be held accountable other than the people. Prince Andrew got arrested and
Yeah.
stripped of his royal. He was
Yeah,
the
but that
first.
wasn't because of what he did in the Epstein files. They got him for what basically corruption in office and using his so that even
Yeah,
then they didn't want to touch him for what the horrendous
no,
crime that it really was, which I
no, because
want to
it makes
see
the
somebody
famed royal family
prosecuted.
look bad.
I want to see somebody prosecuted for the acts that they've done and the inhumane activities.
I wish
Though
they would hold a
though Clinton
public.
didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I wish they
So
would hold a public hearing with some of the victims and just come, speak up
yeah,
about
why
it.
don't they let the victims speak out? I don't
It's
understand that.
weird. I don't know. It's like all they've signed. It's like they've all signed NDAs or something, or have been threatened. Like, hey, you're not going to talk
Well,
about
no, I
this.
mean they
Here's some
come out
money.
and stand,
Some of them have, but there's a lot
but
more.
nobody will televise it. Nobody will talk to them. Nobody will put them in the interviews.
Well, your media is owned by lobbyists and the government, so they do what they're told. So there's a reason behind it. I just don't know. Again, we could go down a conspiracy road, but without proof. But that's the problem. They give you just enough where you can make conspiracies and inferences, but you can't. They never give you enough where you can draw a conclusion.
Yeah,
It's like when you do science, when you have to do your hypothesis before you test your theory. It's like
yeah,
they give you enough to get a hypothesis, but they never let you test the theory.
yeah.
That's
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 actually
where
a
they
good
leave you.
analogy.
They leave you on a cliffhanger with just enough so you keep guessing, and then something else will come out and you'll forget about it. So you keep on moving to something else. I think throwing this UFO mess out there is just to try to distract from the Epstein stuff. But people are pretty dead set on the Epstein stuff. They're not letting that go.
Which they shouldn't. I mean,
They should.
somebody needs to be convicted. Somebody needs to be. They keep saying all these men that partook, but Clinton had his deposition. What 2 days ago, 3 days ago? Bill
And lied about
Clinton.
it, lied through the whole
Yeah,
thing. I
said he
knew
didn't
that
know
was gonna be a
anything
waste
about
of
it.
time.
Yeah, I mean it's Hillary said she never met him, so it's and people just move on. Okay.
And honestly, out of all the people you're going to trust to tell you the truth about anything, one, I would never kill myself. The Clintons. I
Did
mean,
you
good
see?
Lord.
Did you see when they Lauren Boebert sent out that she sent a picture to Benny Johnson and he posted on X while she was sitting there testimony giving her testimony and they went ballistic and they pulled her from the table and said this was not even though it was being filmed, it was going to be released afterwards. But then somebody made the point that they asked her some specific question about something and she didn't like. And that's why they used it as an excuse to get up.
Yeah.
So it's all political theater.
Yeah. I mean, even those State of the Union addresses are political theater.
Oh my gosh, as longest
Oh,
one ever.
I couldn't stomach my way through it. I
I
mean, I
didn't watch.
watched
I
the
couldn't
whole thing,
watch
but
it.
I was like,
Did you?
I did. I pushed through it just because it's just because I like watching the reactions and who stands and who doesn't, just the whole cinematic thing of it because it's such it's almost
Maybe
embarrassing.
maybe we'll have to throw a quick clip of it and get your thoughts on that. Just quite quickly
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. Well, I watched the whole thing.
So,
Brent was sitting on the couch scrolling TikTok, trying to avoid it as much as possible, but I
uh,
watched the whole damn
well, I
thing.
was with her. I didn't watch it because I just can't. I can't take political stuff anymore. It just makes me
Yeah,
nauseous.
it was.
So, what do you think's next in this whole alien reveal? So, at this point, you think something's out there, but not what we have thought about in the past. Am I getting that right? The little green men, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know that it's going to be like that. I mean, it could be people that look human that just have some different features that are from another planet that's being tested just like Earth. I mean,
That sounds like Star Trek.
well, I've never watched Star Trek, so I'm not pulling that from that. I'm just saying it could be anything. It's just hard to say. I mean, but that David Grush guy, when they asked him in Congress hearing, did they have they recovered alien bodies? He said they have recovered or non-human biologics. I don't know how take that how you want. I don't know if that meant what people have said about that is that means that whoever this is advanced enough where they actually put human conscious into like a just a like not a natural body just to fly the aircraft. And it's almost like a you put your consciousness inside of something else to fly the aircraft, and it's like a biologic, but it's not really you. I've heard conspiracies about that's what it is when that's why he said it that
Man,
way.
Star
I mean,
Trek's
who knows?
way ahead
Yeah, I
of the
mean,
time.
this listen
Because
with
Star Trek,
AI, that might be a thing. I don't know.
they
With AI, it can
yeah, that's
be.
true.
You know,
They used in Star Trek they always had these first contacts where they would make themselves up to look like the aliens and then go infiltrate the alien race to see what they're like. So literally aliens among them, and then one of the last ships on one of the main shows. I don't follow all the new junk; it's all too woke for me. But one of the last ships, Voyager, was made up of biological pieces. It was actually a living machine with obviously computer and AI type stuff, but also
yeah,
biological components in it, jail
right.
type stuff. So you say all this stuff, and I'm thinking, gracious, Star Trek is really ahead of its time.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. I mean, with AI, it's going to be crazy what you're able to do. I mean, it'll be crazy what you'll be able to manipulate in the future. So you might be able to make it look like they're alien spacecrafts when there's not. I mean, the amount of stuff like 10, 20 years from now. I mean, which the AI that we're seeing, the government's probably had for 10 or 15 years. So where they're probably at with it is probably is so wild.
Oh,
So
you
it's
really
hard
think they've
to.
had AI like this for 10, 15 years? I
They're
think
all.
they've had technology, but not AI. I mean, AI is a new phenomenon.
I wouldn't say maybe like what it is right now, but I'm sure they were already testing with this before they open
Oh
sourced all of
yeah.
this.
I mean, you heard stuff about Echelon and all these conspiracy theories about them gathering information back in the 90s, being able to capture even analog telephone calls and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so
Uh,
there's a lot, that we don't know, obviously. So all we can do is sit here and talk about these conspiracies. But
what you
yeah,
got,
with the
Tori?
alien stuff, it's hard to say. It would be cool to know they're real. If they're not, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I would just like to know what we're studying that we're like not able to even comprehend. That's beyond our, because some of these crafts that they said they've seen defied what our aircraft can do and
Yeah.
gravity, and they seem like they're like a gravity propelled crafts that just warp gravity around them to move them at whatever speed they need to move, which they've tested with things and they're trying to work on similar aircraft. So I guess it can be done once they figure out how. So it's like maybe somebody else has figured it out. I just, who knows? It's
Who
just beyond
knows?
my comprehension right now because I just don't have the means and the capabilities to grasp it or the proof. So it's like,
Yeah,
how do you even really look into it? But it's interesting to say the least.
I can tell. But I do see just a little tarnish off the excitement there with you with the aliens.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I mature and grow older, I realize that our government's completely full of crap and they're not going to release anything they don't want us to have, and there's no way around that. So it's like, if they're not releasing, if they're not, arresting pedophiles that they know are pedophiles. What leads me to believe they're going to release anything alien related that they don't want us to have? I mean, they're
Yeah, very true.
protecting actual pedophiles right now. I
Yeah,
mean, that's what they're
very true.
doing. And nobody's, other than people just being mad about it, nothing else is happening. No, it is, they could literally stop doing it and people would just be mad and that would be the end of it. It would still end, you know? Hey, it's not like we're going to overthrow the government or something. That's not going to happen. I mean, the laws are there for it, but that's why we bear arms. But I don't know that it will get that far. Maybe not in my lifetime, I don't
Not,
think.
not, not for the Epstein files,
It
I'm
would
sure.
take a while. Not over the Epstein files. It would have to be something a
Nah.
little worse than that. Which
Which,
I don't
hey,
know what's
how
much
can you get any
worse.
worse than that? I know, really.
Well, not worse, but
It's
something that
it's faceless victims. I mean,
right.
you hear about it and you think about it, it's disgusting, but we don't have a full view of what happened.
Yeah, I think it would have to
And
take
there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of information missing. So a lot of the vacuum's been filled with stuff that's probably not true. And so there's just so much going on. I mean, what was the Stephen Hawkins was on the island and he had women around. We got pictures of that. And the families come out and said that was his caregivers. That wasn't. I'm just saying what they said. So I mean,
they
we're
were
going to
caring
have.
for him, all right.
So, all right. Well,
Yeah,
nothing more on aliens. I'm sure we'll revisit the subject again soon. So,
yeah, I would definitely people that are interested, I would definitely like go look just Google David Grush. I think it's Grusch. And then the Bob Lazar stories are really interesting one. He's been around a long time saying the exact same story. He's never veered from that story, so it's very interesting. But yeah, other than that, most recent, I think that meeting was September of last year.
mhm.
Other than that, and then now them coming out and saying they're going to release everything. And then Pete Hegseth quoted like a picture of like a smiley face alien on Twitter after they said that. And I'm like, all right, these guys are a joke. They're not going to release anything good. So I'm not going to hold my breath, but I'll be on the lookout to see what they do release.
Oh my gracious. Well, as we go, we'll just keep it in the background that it is maybe something really out there, right?
Yep. You're going to hit us with the X-Files song on the way out too as the outro
Of
to really.
course we are. It's something I want to believe, right?
Yep.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and X at DollarsCentsGS and on Facebook at Dollars and Cents.
Want to know more about economics? Then look for my podcast, Econ Sense, in Apple and Spotify, or reach out to me at wes.the.economist@gmail.com. It's wes.the.economist@gmail.com.
Looking to buy a property in North or South Carolina and need financing assistance? Give Motto Mortgage Coastal Pros a call today. We specialize in residential loans in both North and South Carolina and can meet all your residential home loan needs. Give us a call today at 843-957-3872. That's 843-957-3872. Thanks for listening to the Dollars and Cents Podcast with Jonathan the Conspiracy Theorist and Wes the Economist. Don't forget to send us your topics and give us feedback at dollarscentsgs@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and X at dollarscentsgs. You can follow us on Facebook at Dollars and Cents. Listen to us on the podcast format at Dollars and Cents Podcast. And you can also find us on YouTube at the Dollars and Cents Podcast.